So if I just had $1,000 a month budget and I was a service-based business selling a high-ticket service or product, would I use Google or would I use Meta ads? Hey everybody, welcome back to the MindShift podcast. I'm your host, Darrell Evans. If this is your first time here, you're in for a treat. And if you're a small business owner right now who is constantly thinking, I don't know how to grow my business and my budget's really tight right now. And by the way, $1,000 a month is the scenario we're going to talk about right now. You might think that your budget at $15,000 a month is a small budget right now. I'm going to show you why my answer today is Meta. Now, for those that don't know, over the last 14 years, I've co-founded and CEO'd a company called YocoLocal. We're a digital marketing agency based in Las Vegas. And over the last time period, we've been running advertising on Google as well as Meta, and we've helped our clients generate well over 300 million in revenue. So I'm in the trenches every single day with my team, and we are looking at accounts every single day. What would I do with $1,000 a month budget? So let's talk about what I wouldn't do first. First of all, I wouldn't probably go to Google. So if you're a high ticket business, that means you're probably in a very competitive space, which means you're going to have a lot of advertising competition. When you have a lot of advertising competition, as the rule of supply and demand works, cost is going to go up because demand is high. So let's take $1,000 a month and let's just say, for easy math, your cost per click is $20 a click. And yes, those are real numbers. We see companies that have $20 cost per clicks in Google, $30, $40. If you're an attorney in some niches, you could have $150, $200 cost per click. And one of the industries that surprises me is in the IT space, right? They have sometimes $150, $200, $250 cost per clicks. Okay, let's stick to $20 cost per click and let's hope my math works out. So you get $1,000 a month in budget and you are gonna pay, say, an average of $20 cost per click because you're in a high ticket service business with a lot of demand, a lot of competition. So that means you're gonna get about 50 clicks per month. So let's think about something. 50 clicks per month over just say a 90-day campaign period, which is what we like to say our clients should run so that they can generate enough data. In that entire time period, you're only going to get 150 clicks from your campaign to your website. And here's what's really interesting. You won't have enough clicks to do retargeting or remarketing, which is important because you just don't know where that click is coming from. You don't know if they're in the awareness stage. You don't know if they're in the consideration stage. You don't know if they're in the purchase decision stage. And because we go to Google thinking that everyone is ready to make a buying decision, you just won't have enough data to validate whether that campaign is good or not. And so we hear a lot of people say, well, if I can just get one client on my $3,000, $1,000 this month, $1,000 next month, $1,000 the next month, if I can just get one client and my service is $7,000, then it is worth it. Well, my friend, that's exactly why we're going to talk about Meta, because over my last 34 years of being an entrepreneur, and I know that if you look in your marketplace, you're going to resonate with what I'm about to say. I want you to think about your marketplace right now on your drive to work, drive to the store, drive to visit your family or whatever that may be. What do you still see on the side of most freeways and streets today? Let me give you a hint. It's billboards, right? So if digital is all the rage, why are billboards in your city still populated with advertisements? Well, what old media knows is that they're tapping into this idea that you as a brand must have brand awareness and brand impressions on a repeated basis. Now, I don't want to get into the psychology of it, but there is a guy by the name of Dunbar who came up with this thing called Dunbar's numbers. And without getting too nitty-gritty in the weeds, we've all heard the phrase that people do business with people they know, like, and trust, or brands that they know, like, and trust. And it's funny because over the last 14 years that we've been doing our digital agency, most of our clients agree with that. Most of our clients are like, if they just get to me in a meeting, if they just book the free consultation, if they just get on the phone with me, I'll close them. And I'll ask them, why are you so confident about that? It's because I will build a relationship with them, is what they've told me. And again, you're a high ticket business who sells a high ticket product or service. So that usually means someone's not checking out on the website. Okay, so you're only going to get 50 clicks per month on a $1,000 a month Google ad campaign. Don't matter who sets it up. Doesn't matter if you set it up. Don't matter if a pro sets it up. The numbers are the numbers. And what I submit to you is that you're leaving a lot of opportunity on the table. Going back to the billboard idea, let's flip over to why I suggest that Meta, Facebook and Instagram specifically, you could pull this off on TikTok, you could pull it off on LinkedIn if you want, but let's just stick to the Meta environment. And let's talk about how we would approach that $1,000 a month campaign with what I call our social media ads simplified framework. Here it goes. So the way we would think about that $1,000 a month budget on Meta is we would take 10, maybe 15% of that $1,000 a month. So that's $100 to $150 per month of the $1,000 a month budget. And we would simulate exactly what the billboards do on the side of the road. You see, when you're driving down the street and you pass the billboard, you don't think anything of it. But over time, you remember the names of the people on the billboard. You remember the restaurant. I know for a fact in Las Vegas, we were driving down the road one time and we'd seen this one restaurant. It was on the side of this one billboard at a resort that we really never go to. But the type of restaurant it was, we just remembered what it was. One night we were like, hey, where do we want to go eat? And we wanted this specific type of food. And we're like, hey, let's go to that place we saw on the billboard. Okay, and it worked. And by the way, it was phenomenal. Okay, so if we're working on this Meta campaign with $1,000 a month, $100 to $150 a day is going into something we call a brand awareness campaign. Now, I'm not going to go into the Meta platform right now, but let me be clear that there are 3 different ways to run this campaign. I'm not going to get into the setup. I'll give you a link below this podcast, somewhere in the description, where if you want to take a deep dive on the actual setup, you can do that if you'd like to. But here's what we're doing. We prefer to use not just a static image ad. We prefer to use a professional video of you as the thought leader or subject matter expert of your brand, or we like to use testimonials, or we like to use behind the scenes videos, or what we call proof videos, proof of the product shot videos, product demo videos, those kind of things. We're going to take that 10 or 15% of your budget, and we're going to put it in what I'm going to call it the billboard cycle. But what we're doing is if we're driving down the road, those advertisers are paying something in the neighborhood of $35 to $65 cost per 1,000 impressions when someone's driving down the street. That means they're selling the idea, Mr. Advertiser, if you put your billboard on this road in this area, this many cars are going to drive by. So for said dollar price of the ad and said number of cars going by, you divide that backwards to what we call CPM, or cost per mil in marketing. I don't want to get it all crazy with you right now. I know you probably don't want to digest all that. But at the end of the day, you're paying for every 1,000 people who drive by that billboard. Well, guess what we can do on Meta, on Facebook and Instagram specifically? And the reason I like them both is because of the variety of media types that we can use there. You'd have to be a flat idiot to spend $10 CPM. I'm not calling you an idiot. Let me be clear. I make jokes like that when I'm talking to my students. You can't spend $10 per 1,000 impressions on Meta when you use our formula. So we're going to take 15% of the budget, and we're going to earmark it strictly for brand awareness and impressions on your product or service in your high ticket service business. Why do we want to do that? Well, there's this thing called remarketing and retargeting if you're not aware. And if you're not familiar with what's happened with Apple and Meta, and the fact that if you carry an Apple device, Meta and Apple don't share information anymore. So what we always want to do is send people to our website to get them to buy, or send them to our website to get them to become a lead. Well, retargeting doesn't work as well as it used to when you get someone to leave the Meta platform and go to your website. So if we agree that everyone's not ready to buy today, right? And that's the same on Google. So those same 50 clicks per month, not everybody was ready to buy. In fact, the vast majority are not ready to buy. Well, if that's true, and it is, then on Meta, here's what we have the advantage of. We have the advantage of taking $100 or $150 a month and earmarking it for video views, for engagement, for comments, for shares, and for people to actually follow and like and engage with your brand. All of those metrics are now able to be retargeted, which means Any and all of those behaviors. By the way, they still can click a link and go to your website. Yes, they can still buy. Yes, they can still request a consultation with your brand or your business, which is really what you want. But what you don't get in the 50 clicks on Google is you don't have enough traffic to even retarget. So now you're 1 click and done, or 50 clicks and done, or even after 3 months, you're 150 clicks and done. Maybe you get a customer, maybe you don't. But now you don't have anything. You don't have enough energy going into that campaign. I hate to say it, it's a bad example, but it's like showing up to a gunfight with a knife in Google when you just have that budget. And guess what? I get it. I've been an entrepreneur who started my first business, second business, sleeping on the floor on an air mattress without a lot of capital. So I know what it's like to be you starting from scratch. Okay, so we're gonna use part of our social media ad strategy to go for brand awareness, visibility, and our ability to stack up platform data that we can then retarget into the future. And by the way, if you use a video in the way that we describe it, I'm not talking about hiring a big professional company, although you can. I'm not saying you have to get a commercial, although you can. You can literally, we teach all of our students how to use their smartphone or a virtual Zoom-like setting to record their expertise. We can get these videos watched all the way through at 100% for around 50 cents per 100% view. I'm not talking about TikTok, 15-second quick videos. I'm not talking about 6-second sizzle videos. I'm talking about thoughtful videos where someone's going to engage with your brand, okay? And by the way, they wouldn't engage with your brand because of the type of business you're in unless they were probably interested in solving the problem that you can have. So that's part of campaign number 1. Campaign number 2, now you want to get to the real stuff, right? You want to get to the lead generation side, right? Campaign number 2 of this process is the lead generation side, which is exactly what you were hoping for in your 50 clicks on Google. Well, here's the difference. In Google, for your professional service business that's high ticket, more than likely, you're probably going to be spending $20 a click. If we just run a lead generation campaign on Meta, you're probably going to be spending something in the $5 to $10 per click range, assuming you have no forward brand awareness. Well, you're like, okay, but people on Meta, Facebook and Instagram, they're not ready to buy anything. Well, the reality is most people searching Google are not ready to buy anything that day either. So how do we do it differently on Meta than we do in Google? Some people say, well, Google, Darrell, people were searching, they were looking for a solution, etc. I agree with you to a degree. But what we also know is people that are in market are also sitting on social media in their off hours. Maybe it's a little bit of time, maybe it's a lot of bit of time, but it is going to be a combination of Meta or Instagram, the studies say. I'm not telling you my preferences. I'm telling you what the data says. The data says most people are still logging into Facebook and Instagram daily. And some people say, well, Darrell, why wouldn't I do it on LinkedIn? Because my audience is a business owner. My audience is a corporate person. My audience is a human resources director. Why wouldn't I just use LinkedIn? You can, except your budget would have to be much, much higher because LinkedIn is looking for more budget. Like you can't really get in the game properly with LinkedIn, in my opinion, without about a $5,000 a month budget. Okay, so back to Meta. So campaign number 1 is for brand awareness, 10-15% of the budget. Campaign number 2 now is going to take up the next $850. So we're going to set up one of 2 types of campaigns. Again, there'll be a link below in the description where you listen to this podcast episode where you can dive deeper in my full social media ads simplified strategy. But for the sake of it, you're going to do one of 2 types of campaigns. You're going to either do an on-app lead generation campaign inside of Meta. People call those lead forms, which I'm not the biggest fan of, but they are useful at times. Or you're going to set up what we traditionally call a website conversion campaign. Okay, what we're gaining by doing both of these types of campaigns is we're gaining the visibility and brand awareness to amplify the reach of how many more people will know who you are and begin to see proof of your work before they're ready to buy. But what we do, and the internal secret, is we use the same ad copy in both structures. Why do we do that? Because we don't want to send mixed messages that all we're looking for in campaign number 1 is we just want video views. That's not what we want. We're not in the business just to get likes, comments, and shares. What you might not know is that the more engagement your ad gets, the better of what we call quality rating you get from the platform called Meta. And that plays to your advantage in the long run. So we want one campaign to generate engagement, to generate video views, to generate interest, which we can then retarget later into our lead generation campaign But at the same time, we're going to run that lead generation campaign to 100% cold audiences and make sure that we're mirroring the same messaging. And the message very simply is this. Let me give it to you. It's one of the simplest messages you can do. It's not the only message, but it is the simplest message you can do so that you, A, call out to the right person and you detract the wrong person. And I don't mean wrong as in they're a bad person or not, but you want the ads to be hyper relevant. Let's stick to a very simple example and use my agency. Let's say I'm the high ticket business owner who wants to attract more business owners to hire our agency to help them generate leads. Okay, very simple example, happens all day in our agency. It's the only reason why people really show up to our agency. They want SEO and PPC and email marketing and websites. At the end of the day, they want more high quality leads. That's really the big thing that people ask us for. So let's mock this example for my business. If I'm advertising on Meta and I'm running an ad campaign with campaign number 1, I'm going to say something in the ad that says, if you would like more high quality leads through digital marketing using Facebook ads, click here. Super simple. The video attached is almost irrelevant. I don't want to say it's 100% irrelevant, but it doesn't matter what the content of the video is. I don't have to be selling in the video, right? I could be showing a screen capture of proof of our ads results. I could be showing a little bit of anything. The message tied to that video is as important as anything. And then beneath that video, we're going to keep a call to action headline that says free lead generation strategy call or something like that. So the content, the video, and then the call to action. That is very specific. If you're not thinking about getting high quality leads, which means you're probably not a business owner or a marketer, you're probably going to skip the content altogether. Flip side, on the lead generation, we're going to take that same topic, put it in the same copy, put it in the same headline, and now we've got it on a separate campaign for lead generation. So we took a while to get there, but I needed to explain the context because I think a lot of people think that Google's the natural choice for bottom of the funnel activity, which is lead generation. I'm not arguing that Google's not good for lead generation. We use it every day, all day with most of our clients in our agency. But back to the start of this video. If you're just getting started and let's say you just have $1,000 a month budget, I would argue that depending on your cost per click, depending on the niche that you're in, you might be better served using Meta, which is Facebook and Instagram, because of the leveraging power of what we call our social media ad strategy, which includes brand awareness, which is something that old media has been selling for years, and Dunbar's numbers prove, as well as the Zero Moment of Truth study that Google did, proves that most people need to see your brand multiple times over a longer period of time before they trust you and before they need you. So unless you're an emergency service business, if you are an emergency service business, you could turn this message off. But if you're a long-term sales cycle business, you're a what I call discretionary high-ticket service business, I might argue, and I hope I've argued today, that you might be better served with your $1,000 a month budget on Meta. I'm not ignoring Google, but that would be my argument for where I'd spend my $1,000 today, even as a high-ticket service business trying to get high-ticket clients. And if I just wanted one client in a month, in 3 months, that's probably where I would spend it. Now, again, if you want to go deeper in the social media ads simplified workshop, we have a strategy, we have a way to do it, we have all the breakdowns, the worksheets, and all the stuff. Meta can be a little complicated inside that dashboard. There is no shortages of places you can get confused. We have a very specific philosophy on how we do it. We've been doing it since 2014. I think we started advertising in 2012 on Meta in our agency. I started developing sort of part one of this strategy. In fact, funny story, during a heat wave in Vegas with an air conditioning company. So there's an air conditioning company we were working with here in Vegas. We were going through a heat wave. I believe it was 2014, late June, and they needed to get to the market ASAP. And the lead gen would have been too slow because we needed to get to the maximum number of people as fast as possible. That's when I think we invented this brand awareness, fast market adoption strategy. So I'm going to finish the episode today. I hope you found it valuable. Look, it's hard right now. Google's going through some changes. For those that don't know, they were found to be a monopoly. We don't know what that's going to look like by the Department of Justice. We don't know what's going to happen there. SEO has been going crazy this year because of the AI search results that are popping up. I don't care where you sit in the land of digital right now, customer acquisition in digital is changing. If you've been a person who's built your business on organic social media, I know the pain that you're in with your reach going further down, even if you used to get tons and tons of reach and engagement before. You need a holistic digital marketing strategy. And I hope today we solved at least part of that idea for you, or giving you something to consider with your $1,000 a month budget. Don't be ashamed of your $1,000 a month. Everybody got to start somewhere. Everybody got to start somewhere, right? We want you to get past the 1,000, to get to the 2, to get to the 5, to get to the 10. We'd love to have you as a partner at our agency if and when that comes along. And if you can get to work with our agency, great. But if you're not and you'd love to have us teach you how we do it, again, click the link below in the description and get the help that you need with our social media ad simplified strategy. I'm your host, Darrell Evans. If you haven't done so already, hit the follow, hit the subscribe button so that you never miss an episode. You can also click a link down below, come into our inner circle, and spend time with us every single month as we train our clients on this stuff every single month. I'll see you in another episode. And as we always like to say, you're only one shift away, just one, from the breakthrough that you've always been looking for. I'll talk to you again later. Bye.